Hi everybody, this is Dino and Chris from Prehistoric Facts, and this is Answering Questions episode. Considering that I was going to try to do this one last week Saturday, but since there were no questions that were sent, so basically this will actually be the Answering Questions episode. So basically today will be the Answering Questions episode. So let's actually get right to it. Alright, Brenda from Morris, New York. Do you think we will ever find Carcharodontosaurids in Alaska, Montana, Canada, Mexico, Antarctica, and Mongolia? Well, let's actually go down to the Carcharodontosaurids of basically where they're found. Carcharodontosaurids are actually found in Africa and South America, and there has been basal Carcharodontosaurids that have been found in South America, North America, and some parts of Africa. And so it kind of makes me believe that with the basal Carcharodontosaurids, they didn't actually survive very long, considering that with the changing of the environments, basically, because if you look at basal Carcharodontosaurids, like Acrocanthosaurus and Siach, those dinosaurs didn't last very long. I mean, Acrocanthosaurus kind of did last a little bit longer than Siach, but even though it actually was successful for its time, but even though it didn't last very long due to the fact that there was competition and also there was actually dinosaurs that were actually coming in that were a little bit more advanced than Acrocanthosaurus. Siach probably couldn't actually compete against some of the more advanced dinosaurs like Tyrannosaurus, for example. Tyrannosaurus kind of came into North America pretty much around 90 million years ago. And so that's when they actually kind of came into North America. And so if you actually look at it this way, that when Acrocanthosaurus actually got extinct, went extinct around 100 million years ago. And then you actually have Siach pretty much died out just before the Tyrannosaurs even showed up. So just like a million or two years before the Tyrannosaurs actually came around. So that means that with Acrocanthosaurus or Carcharodontosaurids possibly being found in Canada, that could be a possibility, but you see, I don't know if they would actually live that far north. And also with Alaska, they probably wouldn't have lived that far north either, because you see, from where they are rangely, in terms of like how far north they can go, is basically just in northern Africa. Northern Africa, it would have been the most north they would have gone to. I mean, North America only had the basal Carcharodontosaurids. There weren't true Carcharodontosaurids in North America, so basically they weren't around in North America. I don't know if we would actually find Carcharodontosaurids in the United States or even Canada. Mexico, I'm not sure. I mean, that one could actually be up in the air. Mongolia could be a place. I mean, it could be a place, but even though I would say but you see, there's not that many rock formations in Mongolia that actually take place in the early mid Cretaceous period. So that really kind of puts things in a hole where basically paleontologists haven't found rock formations in Mongolia, or even geologists, for example, haven't found rock formations that actually date where Carcharodontosaurids thrived. Antarctica, that could be a place where there could be some Carcharodontosaurids, because it's not that uncommon, considering that the farthest south that Carcharodontosaurids actually got in terms of the global range was actually in South America, basically in Argentina. So basically, I wouldn't be surprised that there could be Carcharodontosaurids in Antarctica that could be found yet, but even though that takes years to actually get down to Antarctica, and also you have to plan to do it, and also you have to bring a team, and also you have to bring in people that can actually help you survive. And basically, Antarctica is not the easiest place to survive, and that's why it's very hostile type of environment. And so you got to be very careful when you're actually going down to Antarctica. And so that kind of puts things into a little bit of a pickle, as you can say. And so with that, it actually kind of makes things pretty tough to find Carcharodontosaurids anywhere else in the world. Because you see, in the Cretaceous period, Carcharodontosaurids are found in the southern hemisphere mostly. They're found in the southern hemisphere. Basically, continents like South America, Africa, Madagascar, India. Maybe there could be some found in Australia, but we still need to find some places where there could be Carcharodontosaurus in Australia. But Australia is turning up some new dinosaurs all the time now, so basically that could be a place where we could find new Carcharodontosaurids that could be out there. Anyway, Patrick from Ohio. Just so you know, Patrick, you don't need to send me like 50 questions all the time. Just hopefully I can answer them. I can answer them all for you. But that's really gonna be. I'm actually gonna do 2 questions that I think they're pretty interesting. So that I can actually do. One one of your questions is, what is the slowest dinosaur? I would actually say those would actually be the ankylosaurs. The ankylosaurs were actually very, very slow. You see, with all that body armor, it actually makes things difficult for them to actually be fast. And also, they're quadruped in the time of in the Mesozoic era. So basically, quadrupeds actually are 4-legged animals, and so with basically adding body armor to your evolutionary strategy to survive from predation, there is a price to pay for that, and that's basically you sacrifice speed to actually have that kind of body armor. And I would say Ankylosaurus, or otherwise Euoplocephalus, would actually be the slowest ones, considering that with that type of body armor, you're not going to be in a hurry to go anywhere. And of course, what is the and another one that you actually ask is, what is the dumbest dinosaur? Dumb actually is almost a negative word in terms of trying to understand intellectual way in terms of like how much intellect certain dinosaurs have and certain animals have. But but even though in terms of the lack of a big brain, or otherwise the lack of a large cerebrum, basically the part of the brain that associates with cognitive thinking and all that sorts of stuff, I probably would actually go with Stegosaurus and some of the sauropods. Stegosaurs really have very small brains compared to their body size. So pretty much that kind of actually labels them as kind of like dumb brutes as well. Sauropods would actually be considered to be very, very not really well and not that much of intellect, considering they use instinct a lot more than strategic thinking. Same thing with stegosaurs, and also same thing with ankylosaurs. They didn't really do strategic thinking. Ceratopsians didn't do strategic thinking. And so that's why you actually have herbivores tend to usually have they don't really have that much of intellect to actually begin with. But even though there are mammals today that are very smart with herbivores, like horses are very smart, pigs are actually very smart. But even though pigs are omnivorous most of the time, you actually have certain herbivorous mammals that are very, very, very smart. I mean, some primates are, for example, they're very smart. Most of them are actually vegetarian, but are actually herbivores. But even though they can actually eat meat if they can, like chimpanzees, they actually are scavengers from time to time when they actually need to eat meat. And so that actually kind of plays into the part there. Oh, but even though with the probably say smallest brain to body size, that belongs to Stegosaurus. But even though sauropods have a very, very small brain compared to the body size, because basically they don't need strategic thinking, and so that actually kind of plays a part there. And so just keep in mind, Patrick, don't don't actually go overboard with these questions, because basically I can understand why you're doing simple questions. I like that. It's just that don't do so many at one time, because otherwise I can't read them all. And so just probably limit your questions. Okay, just don't go overboard. Don't send me like 10 to 50 questions all the time, because see, some of these questions I kind of actually see like that you're repeating the same questions. Because keep in mind, people, if you actually are repeating the same question over and over and over again, just do it once and see if I can actually get to it. But you see, if I see like multiple times that you're trying to send to it, I'm probably not going to read it, because basically you're desperate to ask me this question, or otherwise I answered it, and basically it's just that you think that there's something else that needs to be explained. But like, just keep in mind that, I mean, if you want me to explain more, just actually let me know. Like, say like if there's more information that you want me to actually tell you, because that can actually help out. Like, say, hey, you might be missing some information. So why don't you just tell me what kind of dinosaur this prehistoric animal would have done like this, or like what was its behavior, could have been, or otherwise battle questions. I haven't gotten one recently so far, but I mean I enjoy those, because basically those actually are based on my opinion. That because everybody has an opinion about prehistoric animal fights, basically, because that's something that I haven't done in a little while, and so that could be a pretty cool thing to do. But just keep in mind, people, just limit your questions. Like, just basically, like with emails, you can actually send me pretty much 1 to 3 questions, because that's actually easier for me to actually read. And also on with the Facebook page, just only submit at least 1 to 2 questions. Is basically that's a lot easier for me to read. And also, if you add another question into the mix, like after you posted that, like the first comment in the first say questions that you have in the comment section, I'm probably not going to read it, unless if you actually say can you do it in the next answering questions episode. I can do that. So basically that can be helpful for me. And also, just keep in mind that keep your questions short and to the point. What that means is that you don't need to do it in one sentence. You need to actually you can explain the reasoning for your question. Say, I'm very curious about this certain subject, or anything like that. Just to let you know about that. Because I can't keep track of all like the floods of questions that are coming from like at least 1 or 2 people, because that's really going to be very difficult for me. But basically, all the true fans out there, just let you know. But I love you guys. I really love you guys, and that really actually kind of keeps me going. That you actually are very interested in my show, and also that actually kind of gives a point that you guys are unbelievably awesome, and you are actually staying true. And you could still send me questions, and you can still comment in the comment section in the YouTube, basically on under my videos on YouTube, and also you can actually comment in the Facebook page. But my email's only used for questions only, or otherwise you can actually submit to me like what kind of prehistoric animal you want me to talk about for a special episode. But speaking of which, next week Sunday, not tomorrow, the next Sunday will actually be a special episode. So if you got a prehistoric animal that you want me to talk about, basically dinosaur or any other prehistoric animal that you want me to talk about, Feel free to email the prehistoric animals that you want to be talking about at dinocris71@gmail.com, or otherwise go on the Facebook page. I have links of like a list of dinosaur names, prehistoric mammal names, etc. That you can actually look at and let me know what kind of prehistoric animal you want me to talk about. I can do one or two, but I have taken chances with three. But even though there's sometimes I get a little carried away with certain ones because I'm very passionate about certain animals, and basically that kind of actually gets me going a lot. So. But anyway, but also you can still send me questions about dinosaurs or any other prehistoric life. Feel free to email me at dinocris71@gmail.com, or otherwise go on my Facebook page, Prehistoric Facts with Dino Chris. Like the page, you can actually post your questions in the comment section on any Facebook post. But remember, keep your questions short to the point. Don't use the messenger because I can't read it properly. And also you can follow me on Twitter at CSGRALL. That's my Twitter page. I post pretty cool stuff on there. And also take care of the people around you. And also for younger people out there, make sure to listen to your parents, your teachers, and your guardians. It's the best motivation you can have for a good education. It's very, very important to have good education. With a good education, you do a good job in the future. All right, that's it for now, and I'll see you guys next week, Sunday.